Well, that was a Cotton Bowl. News conferences are over. Cotton Bowl decided after Ohio State lost 14-3 to Missouri on Friday night here at AT&T Stadium that they would, have Lincoln Kienholz and Jack Sawyer sit next to Ryan Day for like 15 minutes and then have the players at the same time right over here, which means we did not get to speak to any of them. A flying start to a weird year of media coverage. So we're going to dive through the notebook, walk through here a little bit here, see if there's anybody still hanging around for Ohio State after one of the, oddest, weirdest, most boring Ohio State games that I have covered in recent memory. Here's where those Buckeyes were. And as you can see, not a lot of media coverage going on.
The chair.
Yeah, what did you think about the special teams performance tonight? Jesse Mirko. Okay, thank you. He was in here, apparently. I don't know if that's where he was sitting. But can I start there? Is that like too obvious or dumb to start with special teams, which I guess not. It's a 14-3 game, so those wound up being pretty pivotal plays. Parker Fleming's group starts with a nice delay of game on a punt. They commit a block in the back on a fair catch. They fair catch 2 punts inside the 10. They wind up with a hold to start the first special teams play of the third quarter. They miss a field goal. You cannot tell me that anything could have been worse for Ohio State special teams if they had not brought their $500,000 a year special teams coordinator with them. When I talked about missed opportunities for Ohio State and Ryan Day to reset the narrative, to make moves, to elevate somebody who else could have been on the road recruiting in the month of December, this is why I was talking about it. This guy earned another paycheck, and that was the performance from Ohio State. I'm sorry if people are sick of me talking about the special teams, but these are the kind of things that have to be done for Ohio State to get it corrected and get back to where they want to go. They are not maximizing the coaching staff, and that is putting the players in positions. Man, I'm off to a flying start. It feels as disjointed as Ohio State's effort for me talking right now. They're not putting their players in position to succeed. That includes, on a night like this, Devin Brown injured again, but they go out there and the offensive line doesn't look like it knows what it's doing. They shuffle Matthew Jones to center. They have Enoch Vamahi starting at guard. A little catering sandwich there. Just to wrap it up for game number 13. What did you think, Adam?
I thought there was a lot of things that didn't go right.
Oh.
It was an interesting game.
Yeah, I think you're probably correct about that. An interesting game? Did you enjoy it?
I think I enjoyed that about as much as one possibly can.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot of enjoyment in fact.
No, it was a comedy of errors. Don't say lies like that. All right. So we can go back to diving into what was going on there with the quarterback situation. So Devin Brown wound up playing one quarter. We're live. What's up? I guess they're still excited. That makes, I guess, 2 people wearing scarlet and gray who are thrilled to be here right now. All right, so Devin Brown getting one quarter. He said throughout the month, reiterated on Wednesday, talked before Christmas break, ankle's fine, no problem. We saw him taped up for practice. He said, no, it's not an issue, 100%. And he has every right to say it that way. It's not a problem, but clearly he was not. That high ankle sprain was still an issue for him. It was kind of a botched, I don't know if it was a scramble attempt or a called run. I don't know. What did you think, Bill? I think it was called.
I still don't know.
Yeah. But that ankle gets twisted up in the turf again, and he was not the same. He tried to come back in for another drive in the second quarter. He was not himself. He was not going to be able to run the full offense, so Ohio State had to make the change to go there to Lincoln Kienholz, and that is a tough spot. When we talked about it in the build-up to this game, what would be reasonable? Could Lincoln Kienholz get involved? He's had 2.5 months-ish of running the full offense. Did not have the benefit of spring practice, which again is fine. Ohio State wasn't expecting to have to play what was ostensibly its 4th string quarterback and a true freshman this season. But then they had to spend 3 quarters trying to do that against Missouri and an SEC quality defense, top 20 defense in the country. He finished 6 for 17 for 86 yards. Obviously, those are rough numbers to look at. It's not an indictment of his future or his skills. There were a couple of really nice throws. One to Xavier Johnson that comes to mind. Hit Emeka Ibuka, got things moving a little bit. But he was not going to be in a fun situation. And Missouri was teeing off on the Ohio State rushing attack, which was, I don't know. I'm very confused by what they tried to do offensively. They weren't even forcing, Missouri to think about what was coming. It was very obvious. You saw a stretch into the boundary at one time, and Bill's like, "Oh, here it comes." Or there was G. Scott lined up in the backfield, and before anybody even moved, it's like, this is going to be a sweep to Xavier Johnson. It was so obvious to everyone in the building what was going to be happening. And Ohio State was not putting its players in position to actually win this game. Now, the defense was. Jack Sawyer played one hell of a football game. He had 3 sacks. He tied an Ohio State record for a bowl game. He was phenomenal. He was a game wrecker. You wonder if he didn't really want to talk about that afterwards. Like, could that influence your decision, having such a dynamic performance like that? I still think he's most likely coming back, but we'll see. That's going to be up to him and for him to decide down the road. Got Ohio State hanging out down here a little bit. Head in to the Star. All right. Family's hanging out and trying to get over the rest of the loss here for Ohio State. All right. Normally we go quarter by quarter and give some players of the game and highlight some of the stuff we saw. That is pretty difficult for the second half, so we'd have to skip that. Definitely the fourth quarter. But a couple interesting things that popped out there in the first quarter. Caden McDonald lining up at fullback, and I thought he played with some of the most energy for a blocker that I've seen for Ohio State in quite some time. That was fun. That was a new wrinkle and a chance, another defensive lineman getting out there. Like, oh, maybe there's going to be a bunch of creativity and new things for Ohio State on offense. And, they had a package there with Caden McDonald at fullback and Tegra Shabola lined up as an extra blocker. It's like, well, that could be pretty interesting because I did think that Ohio State was going to make an emphasis on trying to run the football tonight with Devin Brown or without Devin Brown. And there were some early signs that could work. Travion popped one out of that package, I believe. It went for maybe 17 yards or so. But then that kind of disappeared. Second quarter, I gave the nod there to Jack Sawyer as he was really unleashing on a Missouri offensive line that had been very good in terms of pass protection all season. The defense deserved a lot better than this tonight. Missouri is one of the more talented attacks in the country. They wound up with 14 points in this game. That should be good enough for Ohio State to win virtually every time out. No offensive touchdown, 1 field goal, and then a missed field goal. That really doesn't make a lot of sense. That can't happen. So when you add all of that then together and you start looking at what does this mean? I cautioned before the game, maybe myself, maybe anybody else, when you are talking about the evaluation, it is the Cotton Bowl. They treated it importantly. They wanted to win it. But does it become an indictment or a referendum on the program one way or another? Not compared to losing at Michigan at the end of November. At least it shouldn't. But they were closer to full strength than most of us expected they would be. And then they came out and did this. So no chance of a springboard, no chance of positive momentum to carry into the offseason. And now the questions become more urgent. Will there be a move with Parker Fleming at special teams? If you look at the preparedness of Ohio State's backup quarterbacks, which would be the realm of development for Corey Dennis, the position coach there, he's going to be out of contract at the end of January. Is it time for Ohio State to do something different and reshuffle the deck there with its offensive staff? Ryan Day said on the early signing day period, expected Larry Johnson back next year. Are they going to take that approach that any move maybe with Parker Fleming, could that lead to a second defensive line coach? I think I'm setting aside the player conversations. We've talked about their NFL draft decisions and the transfer portal. throughout the month. I don't know that there's going to be a ton more movement. Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't play as we expected, so he's, going to be missing off of that roster come this time next year. But the things where it has to start has to be with the guys who are making 6-figure contracts or 7-figure contracts to get it correct. And Ryan Day's comments after this game put the onus squarely on the staff. He gave the same answer, which he always gives, which is that everything has to be evaluated for Ohio State to get to the level that it wants to be at and to win championships, which it fell short in every way this year. There's just no denying that part. So how quickly can they get that process started? Do they have to do that with a transfer portal quarterback? Will Howard is still available. There is a possibility that Ohio State could look at that option in the offseason. That would be probably unfair to Devin Brown in some respects, because he has not had a chance to actually audition in a full-time for one full game with that job. And certainly Lincoln Kienholz wasn't supposed to be giving a permanent audition to go compete for the job tonight, and wound up, a little bit overwhelmed. I don't know the answer to that. It's difficult to answer. That stuff has to start now. Here, Ohio State's heading towards the bus here. There's Ryan Day talking to Matthew Jones. This place is loud and a mess, so we can start winding it down as well. Probably not going to bother Ryan Day again tonight. He did not have the most enjoyable press conference. It will be the last one for 2023. Hope you have enjoyed the notebook this year. This wasn't the most fun one that I think I've ever done, but I appreciate the opportunity to do it. I hope you've enjoyed this different look at it. We'll try and keep adding more interviews and things to that as the years go on and we keep rolling here at the podcast. I'm probably going to get run over by this forklift. So thanks to Bill Landis for running the camera tonight. Thanks to you all for tuning in. Thanks for all the support for this whole 2023 coverage from the podcast all year long. I'm Austin Ward. We'll talk to you in 2024.